Hi friends, welcome to Life with Loverly. I'm your host, Brittany Shogren. I'm excited to share my heart with you beyond the 15 seconds we get on Instagram. Grab an iced coffee and let's do life together. Hi friends, welcome back to today's episode of Life with Loverly. We are going to talk about all things back to school today. I know a lot of schools in the Georgia, Atlanta, Athens area are starting this week or the beginning of next week, which is so crazy. I feel like school's starting sooner and sooner every year. But we wanted to just kind of talk about a little bit of back to school. Nichelle has school age girls who are in middle school, right? Bryn's starting middle school this year?
She starts 6th grade this year.
So crazy.
I know. And then Maddie is going to be a senior.
That is so wild.
I know.
I feel like senior year just hits different.
It does. This year was actually kind of hard for me. We did a lot of the back to school shopping this past weekend. Bryn had her open house last Wednesday. It was insane. Her middle school is brand new. So she's not even going to be in the same school with Maddie because they separated the two. It's huge. It's 3 stories tall. There's 8th grade on the top, 7th grade on the main, and then 6 is at the bottom.
Wow.
It was a little overwhelming for her.
Yeah, I can only imagine. So what day do they start school?
They start Friday this week.
Friday, okay. Wow. And I always feel like that's kind of convenient for school. When I was like starting in elementary or middle or high school, it was always like you started on Monday and it was just like classic. Now I feel like they do like a Thursday or Friday start.
It's like a dip your toe in kind of day.
Yeah. But it makes so much sense to kind of like get your bearings, get around the school, figure out where your classes are, and then it's like full start on Monday.
Yeah, the teachers, bless their heart, half of them didn't know what was going on because they actually had not started school yet. They weren't starting until this Monday.
Even the teachers hadn't been in the rooms yet. Oh,
yes.
Wow, yeah.
So they literally like just went in for orientation, and so they couldn't answer a lot of questions, but they were like, we're all going to be new the first day, so we're going to figure it out together, which I think it was a really good selling point for Brittany because she's so nervous about going to a new school. And I'm like, hey, you're all new.
It's like everybody is new here.
Yes.
Like, which is kind of nice. And then that's like a cool thing that they will get to be the first kids at like that brand new school.
Exactly.
And everything will be nice and new. And new lockers, new bathrooms. Like, so exciting. How's Maddie feeling about going to senior year?
It broke my heart because she's going to go with a friend to open house. Like, she's ready.
You're like, you don't want me to go?
I know, and she signed up for dual enrollment, so she's going to be doing a couple of classes over at the local college as well.
That's
so
exciting.
It's just a little knot in my stomach right now.
Yeah, your baby is like...
Not a baby.
Well, it's so wild. We've talked about this before on the podcast, but I have toddlers, and you have like a middle and high schooler. And so the difference in our parenting, but stuff that... I feel like you still give me advice with the girls. I kind of like help you talk through things going on with your girls.
Right.
But it's just so crazy to think that my little 2 and 3-year-old are going to be like going to these bigger schools so soon.
So soon. You're going to blink and they're going to be in kindergarten and pre-K and you're going to be like, where did it go?
I know. It already feels like they're just like growing up. I was off last week. For those of you who didn't know, I took like a week of vacation and got off social media, which was so nice, and spent the week with my family at the beach and had like a true beach vacation, no phone. Like there were several hours of the day that I didn't even know where my cell phone was.
That's awesome.
And I was like, this is amazing and so nice, but I feel like my girls appreciated me not having my phone, and they were just so much more like, I don't know, it was just so interesting to like
the interaction was just very
different. And the last time we were at the beach, like Hazel didn't really like the sand as much, and now she was like obsessed. So as they're growing and as we're spending different vacations as they get older at the beach, it's so cool to like really be paying attention. And sometimes that's hard when like my job is to share my life and everybody's like, well, what are you wearing to the beach? What beach toys do you have? What are your kids' swimmies? And while I love sharing that stuff too, it's like I felt like I was soaking up the moment.
Yeah, we were very proud of you. We were trying to contact you to very minimum, because the show must go on in this industry. Right. But we were like, let's just keep it to one person reaching out to her as opposed to all four of us. And so we were very
but
it was very weird not hearing from you.
I know. Well, and being at the beach the week that we were there, it was like not as crowded because a lot of people are back to school this week. So I've already booked it for the next year at the same time. So I'm like, okay, we are definitely going on this week. Yeah. It's a perfect week for everybody to do a reset. And then we come back into August, like ready to go with all the content and like back to school stuff that we're going to be giving to you guys. But yeah, I can't believe school is already,
I know.
I started seeing, I think it's funny for like the next few weeks, if you scroll social media, it's like everybody and they're like back to school signs and their kids' first day, and so cute.
Everybody's in their new clothes, their new sweaters, their new jeans and boots. We're in 97 degree weather. We all did it.
It's so funny how you go back to school shopping with your parents and they are buying you all this fall stuff. And then it's still summer because like technically the season until the middle of September is summer. But we, everybody's wearing their like new fall clothes for back to school.
We were all so excited about that during back to school, weren't we? Going to Limited 2 and we're all those other places that we shopped as kids, and we were like, look at my brand new sweater. Yeah. And you're suffocating on the playground.
Well, I remember going to Tanger Outlets with my mom. And I had like a budget of what I could spend, and we would always go on like the tax-free weekend.
Yes.
And hit the like main stores, and I think I talked about this in another, maybe our shopping podcast, of like, I was like, how many things can I buy to create like several outfits so that it's like I'm getting new stuff, but I'm wearing it with a lot of different things, so it's not the same every time. And it was like a challenge for me.
Oh, yeah.
As like a middle and high schooler.
Oh, yeah. Well, my mom didn't take us shopping very often. I started making money at a pretty early age, but I made the most of it when she gave me a budget.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm going to get those really good, expensive pieces with her. And then I really like use my money to be very specific about how many pieces can I get for more,
I can carry myself with the additional pieces. Right. I feel like this is where I was. So I grew up in Athens, college town, and I always loved shopping at like the secondhand stores because it was a lot of times like the sorority girls would like do a closet clean out before they left for school or before, like at different times throughout the year, and they would like sell their designer jeans to Plato's Closet, and then I would go buy like brand new Citizen for Humanity and like 7 for All Mankind jeans for like $45.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, this is it. Like, this is how I started shopping designer at like a discounted price. And I was like, I'm gonna get all those sorority girls clothes that they're like wore one night out.
Exactly.
And I'm gonna create outfits from it. That's like where my back to school, mostly in high school and stuff like that. I loved trying to figure out how I can work all these outfits and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
Okay. What about teacher lists?
Yes.
When I remember getting like the printout of like what your school supplies were going to be, and like taking a physical piece of paper and going to Target or Walmart.
You're like, check.
Like getting the school supplies, like you kind of had to like strategize over, okay, Target has this, but Walmart has it for a better price. But like, I like the accessories at Target more, but I can get more. Like, my mom would be like, okay, we're going to each spot. You need to plan this out.
Yes.
Like, but you needed to do it early so that the good stuff was still available.
Yes.
And then there was always like stuff at the bottom that was like for the classroom. Like, I remember always bringing like a box of Kleenexes or like certain crayons.
The Clorox wipes.
Yes.
So they do that still. They actually have a list. It's the school supply list, and it actually is for the classroom.
Okay.
There are a few things like your calculator, your headphones, things like that are going to be for you. But, they had to get expo markers. And Maddie was like, I didn't use them until 11th grade, but we were getting them for the teacher. And so that's the actual list now, but then there's also a wish list.
Okay.
So they actually call it a wish list where the girls go to school now, and that is your Clorox wipes, Kleenex, like all the
Like
extra
additional
stuff that they really could use. And I think over the years, I had to learn that. My mom is in the school system, so I at least know that it's hard for teachers to get a lot of those supplies, because they have to do it on their own.
Right.
The school doesn't always supply them with
right.
all of that. And so it's been really important that every year we try to get both lists completely, if not a couple of extra things on the wish list, because they're probably not going to get them throughout the school year.
Right.
So, but everything's on Google Doc now. We don't even have I have to make sure that we print it out before we go, because I'm one of those check boxes too. I'm like, check, got 4 of those, check.
It feels like you're printing out like the MapQuest, directions.
Yes.
And I'm sure your kids are like, Mom, seriously, just pull it up, and you're like, I need a physical piece of paper and an actual pen.
Yes.
To be like, we got pencils. Check.
Satisfaction of we know we got it all.
Yeah.
But the list gets a little bit smaller as you get on through school age, just because you're not having to buy all the crayons and the extras that, they're not going to need all of that stuff in high school. So we literally got mechanical pencils and a couple of big, thick notebooks for Madison this year. And that was it.
Does she take her laptop to school?
They have a laptop that they have at school. They actually give them Chromebooks.
Okay.
From actually 6th grade on.
And they leave it at school.
They can bring it home too.
Okay.
But they are responsible that if they lose it or if anything happens to it, they actually are charged on their account for anything that happens to it. We had to pay like $75 for a cord one year because it stopped working. But they at least supply that stuff.
So you start out with it, and then they keep it at school.
At the end of the school year, you have to turn it in the last week so you don't get charged, because if you don't turn it in on time, you get charged for the whole thing. You don't graduate unless that's all paid off.
Wow. Yeah, because I remember carrying a backpack with all your books in it.
Yes.
And I feel like that's not.
Yes. Update: there are no lockers in my girls' schools.
After I said that a second ago, I was like, wait, are there lockers?
I think it's a safety thing now. I think and that's so sad. But they're newer schools, so that high school that Madison's at opened her freshman year. So this is the 4th year that it's been open. Very, very new, no lockers. And the middle school that was just built, no lockers.
But I guess if you think about it, lockers were mostly to store your books or
Now they literally, bless their heart, they have to walk around with these big book bags.
And they are carrying everything. All. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So there are still textbooks.
There are.
You never know.
Yeah, some of the classes Madison's taken, she leaves her textbook in class because she doesn't necessarily need it to study. Now, most of them though, she's lugging on her back the entire time.
Man.
I know.
It's so crazy.
The locker was so important to me.
I was that's where you
decorated.
Got to meet other people.
Yes. Meet me in my locker after 8th grade or 8th grade or whatever it was.
And maybe your best friend wasn't necessarily in the locker next to you.
Yeah.
So I feel like I was always like, ooh, who's gonna be my new locker friends that are in the surrounding locker area?
Yes. We shared lockers too for convenience, Oh, I have this period science or whatever. I'm gonna just put my stuff in your locker and so we can get to class on time. Oh, Mims.
Gosh, seriously. What about, do your kids take lunch, or do they pack their lunch, or do they do the school lunch?
It depends on the time of year. So my youngest loves to take her lunch whenever she sees other people bringing really cool things.
Then she's like, I have requests for the lunch.
She's like, I need to get a Lunchable, but I need the pizza Lunchable.
You're like, I have very specific requests.
Exactly. And then she'll go through a spurt where her friends are buying lunch, so then she buys her lunch. Madison has not taken her lunch, and I couldn't tell you how long. I also don't think that she necessarily eats at lunch. She snacks.
Yeah, I remember going through a phase of that too, where I would take a lunch, or certain days of the week too. If you saw the menu and you were like, ooh, that's gonna be good, then it would be mental note, bring money for lunch.
Yeah, they have different lines now. They have a potato bar, they have a salad bar, and then they have the regular hot meal. And so when they do the potato bar, the girls, both of them, get the potatoes and they do ham, cheese, ranch on it.
Oh my gosh.
That's their lunch.
Wow.
Yeah.
This is legit.
I know.
I mean, but if you think about it, I graduated high school in 2007. I'm sure a lot of things have changed in that amount of time.
We had a potato bar where I was growing up. That's what I ate that, or pizza or fries with ranch, whatever was going on with ranch.
I just remember there was always chicken fingers and french fries.
Yes. Yes.
That's in those like little, what was like the little cup or like kind of plate thing that they came in that was like red and white, like checkered.
Oh,
you know, like
yes, the paper.
Yeah.
Yes. I gotcha.
I feel like that like is like old school's like.
Yes.
I mean, I know places still serve in that, but that reminds me of like school cafeteria lunch.
They have vending machines everywhere in schools now. They can get, I mean, there was a whole vending machine I saw of diet drinks.
Of like
Diet Coke, Diet Sprite, Diet this, it's insane.
I was like, here's your full sugar soda.
Exactly.
Here are your aspartame sodas.
Insane. And then they have, snacks that they can get out of other vending machines. So that's normally what I'm doing at the beginning of the year, like change here, change there.
Yeah. See, I feel like in this stage of back to school that I am prepping for right now is like, let's get a few new outfits. And this can be your like back to school. I'm gonna order the girls a new backpack.
Cute, adorable backpacks.
Yes.
This is when you get to choose.
Because they're still like, yeah. And okay, so my kids go to like full-time daycare, and it's like a school. They're on like a school curriculum, and this like the daycare has like a kindergarten in it. So it's like the whole thing is run on like they literally have a curriculum and like something they follow every single day.
Yep.
The difference is it's year round. So like they've been going to quote unquote school all summer. And then once they get to like kindergarten and they go to like wherever they're going to go for kindergarten, they won't go anywhere in the summer. Yeah.
It's going to be such an easy transition for them because my oldest went to the same school.
Yeah.
And because of that curriculum and the consistency in their scheduling and their lunch and then this and that, it was so easy to transition to that. Yeah.
And we've kind of like just follow the same schedule. Like on the weekends, it's like, okay, like this is lunchtime. This is what they're used to. I mean, of course, not every weekend is the same, but we try to like keep it on that same flow. So it's super easy. But so next week is their official like first day of like the new school year. And they have like a teacher work day on Friday. And so I'm like, is this like, are we at the time of like needing to be like, okay, here's your first like back to school.
Yeah.
Even though I'm like, anytime I say, okay, back to school stuff, they're like, we've been going to school. They don't like fully get it.
Pre-K next year, right?
Yeah. So she's 3.
Insane.
So then next year she'll be in like the pre-K 4.
Yeah.
And there's a few different options like where we live if we want to send her to like a different school. Where she's at right now does have like a pre-K 4 that she will stay in, which we'll probably do since Hazel will be there. It's just easier. And then kindergarten after that, which is
insane.
So crazy. So crazy.
Yeah. She's gonna thrive though.
Yeah. She loves school so much. My mom was a teacher for my whole life, and she taught like elementary and pre-K at the end, and so like Collins's age, she's just like loving like helping her like play puzzles and do all this like different stuff that they're doing right now. And it's so fun to just see Collins's little brain just like working so hard and figuring things out. We played this puzzle at the beach that was like on the iPad, and it was like tracing letters. And so she was like writing the letters with her finger and tracing them. And then she would always be like, she would say the letter and then she would be like, what is this letter for? And I would tell her like a word, and she would come up with another word that started with the same. And it's just like, it's so crazy. This is where we're at.
It begins. Routines are something that really, it helps with routines once they start school. I think with yours, because they are in daycare, and again, they go at a certain time, they come out at a certain time, you have gymnastics, you have all of these extracurricular things, you have dinner at a certain time. I feel like it helps kind of like pave the way for really like consistent routines moving forward as they grow up.
And I think that's just how I like to function on like a schedule. That's just like my personality. And so that's just what works at our house. I remember when I was like getting them on like a routine when they were like, literally we started like following the schedule for them as infants at 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And so many people were like, let them be babies, it's fine. Like they're, and I was like, no. Like for my sanity, like we are going to get on a sleep schedule. We are going to do this just so I can continue functioning. But not everybody's like that.
I wish that was around whenever my kids were little. Man,
mom's on call. If you are pregnant and you want to get your kid on a schedule.
Yeah.
I mean, even if you don't necessarily want the schedule, but you just like want a book that like kind of helps you.
It guides you.
A guide. They say there's no like guide having a baby, but like Moms on Call would be the next best thing.
And it's insane, guys, because I compare when my girls were little to how your girls like interact right now. I had no idea. I'm like, how many naps do they need?
Right.
You know, how long do they need to sleep? Is this normal that she's crying this long while she's laying there? Like, I had nothing.
Right.
Absolutely nothing. Just like, hey, it's supposed to be your natural instinct. Go have fun in the world.
Right.
Like, this would have been an amazing guide to know, okay, at this age, this amount of sleep works best for them.
Right. So, and I think it was probably really interesting for you to see because when Nichelle started, Hazel was 7 months old.
Mm-hmm.
So she was still like a baby on like a schedule, and you know, you were at work, we were working at my house.
Yeah.
And we had a nanny at the time who was like helping with, you know, putting her on her schedule, taking her for a nap, doing everything. And I remember there would just be times the show would be like, okay, wow, this is like, she's like, you know, regimented.
Yes. And she thrived on that.
Thrived.
Yes.
Like, and that's the thing that was so important for us is like, we know this is good for them. Like, so it's been great that then like now they're in the preschool or their daycare that does the same, like they're on the same schedule. It just like flows really nicely. But I feel like there's like, you know, little tips of like how to make your life easier. And for us, that was like definitely Moms on Call saved our lives.
Oh yeah, jealous.
It's crazy.
All right, well, speaking about routines, we actually had to put some rules into place this last weekend because it's the week leading up to the first day of school.
Summer's over.
It's done, guys. And, you know, we have to deal with cell phones now. And like when we were in school, it was just becoming like a new thing. Right. So we weren't as addicted.
It wasn't like a mini computer you were carrying around everywhere.
Exactly. So one of the conversations we had was, you know, 7 o'clock, the phone goes away. And that's when my oldest has gotten used to doing her homework around 7 o'clock after dinner time, which I'm okay with because she does it. So we're going to have Bren start doing the same thing. Screen time has to stop after 7 because they have to turn the brain off. And homework will be done. Bedtime, because I'm going to be honest, guys, there's no bedtime right now. We just kind of let them like do what they do. They're pretty good kids, guys. Like I'm not like letting them have a free fall until 4 o'clock in the morning. Right. You know, there may be the random 2 o'clock in the morning, but they're both very quiet. They stay in their room. It's been okay so far. So we were like, you gotta go to bed at 9. Bryn about had a heart attack the other night. She's like, wait, 9? Yeah, that was your bedtime last year. It's gonna be. You need your sleep to function.
Well, I don't think, you know, sometimes when it's like, okay, you're going to bed at 9, they're not like remembering that they're going to be waking up in the 6 o'clock hour.
Seriously.
To like get on the bus or whatever time it is.
Yeah.
But, you know, going to bed at 2, you wake up at 11.
Literally, they're waking up at noon right now. I'm like, that's not gonna be. You're gonna be at lunch by this point in the day. So one of the things that Bryn was like, but I go to school an hour later now than I used to. So we had a little like back and forth, and we came to the conclusion that she could go to bed at 9:30.
So
9.
What time does her school start?
8:35.
Okay. So, and will she take the bus?
Yes.
It comes in your neighborhood.
Yes.
What time does she have to get on the bus?
7:45.
Okay.
So she's one of the last pickups. So 7:45. It sometimes is 10 till, and she'll be at school, gets to her class on time. 8:35. School is out around 3:30.
Okay.
So I was like, 9:30 is good. We'll have to get her up an hour before she has to be at the bus stop just because, you know, it's going to take a minute for her to wake up. She's not good at waking up in the morning.
My brother was the same way.
Yeah.
I mean, the amount of times I threatened to leave him,
Yes.
I was like, I'm pulling out at this time.
Yeah.
There was one time he came like running after the car, and I was like, kind of inflicted, you
Right.
know? We also lived like so close to my high school, so I was always
Yes.
like, I mean, he could literally walk.
Yeah.
But.
And you guys were what, 2 years apart?
We were one grade level.
One grade level,
Yeah,
okay.
We're 20 months apart, and so we were one grade level apart.
How was that growing up? Because I know that obviously every sibling has their moments where they're like, oh, I could do without you.
I feel like there were definitely times where I was like, stop trying to be friends with my friends.
Right,
like,
not allowed.
You need your own friends. But he always just had older friends, and some of his, because of like different sports teams that he played on and stuff like that, some of his friends were even older than, like in the grade above me. And so, and I think that's why he wasn't like super driven to like get his driver's license right away.
Yeah.
Because he always had a ride with an older like teammate or with me.
Yeah.
He like was always getting to the places he needed to go. He didn't necessarily need to like drive himself there.
Yeah.
Whereas I was like Miss Independent, countdown on my like board in my room to get my learner's license, to get my driver's license. Like I was ready to have the freedom. And he just was like, I'm good. Like somebody else will drive me.
Okay, back to school for adults. I feel like this is something that you've started covering.
Okay, I think there's like two parts to this back to school for adults because I think there's a lot of people out there who are like moms with kids in elementary school that are like, my kids are back to school.
Oh, yes.
I'm about to thrive again.
Live their best lives.
Like, back to like your routines and things that you do, you know.
Your sanity.
So many people have messaged being like, my kids are about to go back to school. I'm about to catch up on all your podcasts. I'm about to like go do XYZ. I'm signing up for this class. I'm doing this. And I'm like, yes, you are.
Yeah.
Go girl.
Yeah.
So I think there's like this like, while some people are sad that like the summer has come to an end, your kids are going to school, it is great, but then they're kind of like get this little sense of themselves back because
a little bit of freedom.
Yeah. So that's exciting for those of you in that position.
Yes. And it does get easier as they get older. I just want to give you that piece. Like it does get a lot easier as they get older.
Well, I have some friends who their kids are starting school for the first time, like going to like kindergarten this year, and they're like getting super emotional all week but then it's like just this, I feel like this like feeling that is like a rite of passage as a parent.
Yeah.
You just have these emotions. It's crazy, but every year it gets like a little bit easier.
Yeah.
And your kids are, I think it's, you know, until they get to kindergarten, they don't really know what being in like a elementary school is like and what to expect. So there is like a fear there, I'm sure. But then there's this other side of people going back to school, and those are the teachers and administrators. And so something we started doing last year that was really fun was creating outfit guides for back to school for teachers, administrators, anybody in like the school system. But they also translate really easily over to like anybody in like a business professional, business casual environment.
It's so easy and it's so broad because I even got a lot of great ideas from it. I mean, they're just business casual, you know, kind of flared up a little bit, and they're pieces that you come up with that you can wear in so many different ways.
Yes.
Anyone can use this, but this was definitely created for the teachers out there.
Yes. So we are working on a teacher wardrobe that is going to be like several different outfit ideas over the month of August. We will do, I think right now we have like the 10th and the 17th as like 2 dates that we're going to be like dropping a bundle of outfits and showing you guys different ways to wear them. And while we're like saying it's like back to school teacher looks, it's kind of just because teachers are going back to school right now. But anybody who is looking for like a professional or like truly workwear, even if you work from home, you can get ideas from some of these pieces. We've got everything covered from like shoes, pants, bags, just the whole gamut of what to kind of go back to school with. which I'm really excited about. And I guess like one thing I would say is somebody who's like teaching kindergarten might wear something different than somebody teaching like 11th grade math.
1000%.
You know, and I will try to give a variety of like things that teachers can like, pants that they can like sit on the floor and like play with their kids if they're a younger age, or, you know, comfortable shoes. But then there's also like administrators who prefer to wear like maybe a small heel,
a little more
or something
elevated.
a little elevated. Yeah. So there's gonna be a big variety, but I would just encourage you to like look at each piece and kind of figure out how you could tailor the outfit to make it work for like specifically you. One thing too is like different school like areas, like private school, public school, different like areas of the country are wearing different things.
Yeah.
I mean, one of our employees that works here at Leverly Gray, she's a former teacher, and even just hearing her say like in her school district, like what her teachers were wearing were different than like some of her friends in other districts, and how that can just change by like where you live.
Yes.
So we're gonna try to like cover a lot, but also like know if you have like a favorite pair of flats, view these outfits as like they can be styled with that pair of flats. This is just like a great shirt or blouse, and we're gonna try to create so many outfits so you have like several options. And it was so much fun last year. We've been ordering pieces and getting a ton of stuff ready. Like every day I've been like refreshing certain websites that I go to, because I'm like, maybe they drop more new arrivals that we can use in our capsule wardrobe.
It's been so fun to like go through and be like, okay, who has what? Ooh, look, look, this would be great
like,
for teachers.
Yes, how we can do this in a bunch of ways. So we have that coming starting next week. I am gonna start sharing some ideas of like things I already have, and maybe just like remind you of like some shoes that I've shared in the past that are still stocked places if you want to go ahead and grab some of those things. So make sure you're following along on Leverly Gray's Instagram stories, because there will be a lot of like teacher stuff. And if you are listening to this episode later, we will save like highlights, and there will be ways to like access the links for these items. So definitely check back, or feel free to like continue looking, because we do still share workwear every week, and a lot of those pieces too can be like transition for teachers, or styled with maybe sneakers and dressed down a little bit.
I love seeing the tags that were coming in last year of people taking just inspiration from what you were showing and going to shop their closet. Remember the midi skirt that everybody was like
with the chambray top?
Yes, and people were dressing it different ways and using it. Was so much fun. They were using their imagination with what they already had based on one new piece that they added to their wardrobe. That was so great.
And there's so many ways. I feel like if you get, like for example, last year it was this really pretty like salmon colored midi skirt that they had at Target. But you probably have like shirts or blouses in your closet that you could pair with this that are going to be like in addition to what I'm showing. So that's like a skirt you could wear like every week or every other week with different options. You know, so I mean, if you kind of really break it down, like you need 5 outfits for like this many weeks until like there's the first break, you can really kind of come up. And we tried, like last year, the first big roundup for teacher outfits was 30 options. I mean, that's like several weeks worth of outfits, and then some of them could be mix matched or added into other pieces you already have. So we are working on that right now, which will be exciting to have that go out. But we thought it'd be like a fun little thing that we could do. You know, I mean, here at Leverly Gray, we're sharing outfits and sale alerts and style tips and like that type of thing. So we're just tailoring it specifically to teachers to kind of give our like back to school like stamp on things. Which I think is really fun. I don't know, I love sharing workwear, and my mom was a teacher, so seeing her dress and like, you know, knowing what she was wearing. And she worked in like a private school, she worked in a public school for many years, she was a PE teacher, she worked in like a preschool, like she's kind of been in like several different roles. And then her best friend was a principal, so seeing like what her principal friend was wearing, but then also having like one of our team members at Leverly Gray being a past teacher, I feel like I have a lot of really good insight to create this guide. So I'm trying to make it like pieces that you would like teachers would actually wear, and we received so much great feedback last year that it was like spot on. So it's gonna be great. We are super excited for that to come. Okay, friends, well, thank you so much for joining us today on Life with Leverly. If your kiddos are going back to school, sending you all the positive vibes, whether you're sad about it, happy about it, wherever you might be, it's an exciting time. I feel like this is always like a great kickoff for fall. Football season's coming. We've got some exciting things coming this year in Life with Leverly, so make sure to stay tuned. We will see you guys next week. Same place, same time. Thanks for listening to today's episode. I can't wait to continue these conversations with you over on Instagram. Make sure to follow along at Life with Leverly. Until next time.